You want to use that real estate, that on-page real estate, smartly, make it crawlable and make it machine legible. And that's where that schema data comes in. That's why the machine legible.
Did you make that up?
Yeah.
I like
It's
it. Welcome to the Bright Commerce Podcast.
okay. Here we go. Episode 24, the Bright Commerce Podcast. Next to my internet bestie, Judd Dunagan. How you doing, Judd?
Doing good, Carlos. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited about this episode. We finally did a deep dive on organic LLM, which is really the title for today, and that is how to show up in AI. It's basically AEO for brands. AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization. It's basically the evolution of SEO. Last episode, we talked about OpenAI's move into paid ads. Today, we're going to follow up with the organic aspect of it. What's basically working today?
Yeah, that's right. Paid ads might get you into the chat window, but the Answer Engine Optimization, or AEO, just another acronym we have to remember after all the PPC, SEO, CRM. Geez, I don't know how many you got to do, but it's what gets recommended by AI. Think of this as SEO 2.0, but for large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Meta AI.
The Llama model, which, by the way, I just got a pair of Meta glasses.
I know you look like I think I coined you Costello for some reason, and just
I know where they are. They're charging so much right now. Otherwise, I put them on. But I'm not. I'll tell you what. I'm not like they're really cool when you first put them on, but it wears out quick. Their LLM, which I believe is based on Llama, that's Meta's LLM, isn't that
you literally
great?
told me on buying them when you talked to you. Now you're not, because I literally at my daughter's volleyball game. I'm literally on my phone.
It's perfect for that. That is exactly what it's
worth it to me.
It's so funny because everybody I talk to about the glasses, they all say the same thing. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, what are you using for? I video my dog or I video my kid. That's it.
Okay.
That's what they do.
Gotcha.
I can't wait for Google.
How's this relate to AEO?
Well, the Meta glasses are powered by Meta's LLM, which is Llama based. That is how, which ties into the Bing API, which we're going to get into in a little bit here.
Wait, did you say Llama?
Yeah, Llama is the name of their LLM.
LAMA? Well, how do you spell that?
I would say like the animal, llama, LLAMA.
Okay, so they're doing like a Google thing where they say penguin, panda too.
Yeah, that's just whatever. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I mean, listen, companies pick all sorts of names, but yeah. What is it like? What is Amazon is built on Bedrock? That's Amazon's LLM engine.
That's a better name if you think about it.
That is a better name. You're right.
I mean, like, why pick an animal when your competing company picks animals?
Yeah, pick the city where the Flintstones lived in.
Bedrock.
Isn't that where the Flintstones lived? Wasn't it Bedrock?
Yeah. Yeah. Fred, dude. Fred was the. Yeah. They don't make Fred anymore. They don't. Fred Flintstone, man.
Yeah.
Barney. Do you remember Barney too? That poor soul. I think he was always second rate. Even, I think even the actors, he was second rate. Like, Fred was like the big guy in the studio, and Barney comes in. He's like, dude, just sit down. You're not going to steal the show. Anyway, one thing I love though is how fast they can go with their feet and that solid on piece of stone mobile.
Defines the laws of physics.
And we're going off topic again.
And how do they? And by the way, how do they steer that car? Did it just go in a straight line?
I don't think they ever steered it, to be honest. I think that was too hard for animation. It cost too much to actually turn the wheel and see the car turn.
Yeah, well, in theory, how do they steer it, right? Based on how it was portrayed in the illustrations. You're right. We're getting off topic, but it's good. It's a good off topic. It's good to touch.
The Flintstones. Sorry, no, that was Love Boat. Sorry, I just messed that up. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna walk through what AEO actually is and why today matters more than ever and why you have to move quickly towards this.
Awesome. All right. So, let's start with the obvious. AI is changing on how people discover and research products. Instead of going to Google and typing in a query, they open ChatGPT and ask a question like, why is my AC dead? Or how do I fix my VCR? No, just kidding. No one has VCRs anymore, but it could possibly be something someone asked. But in a lot of ways, where they used to go to Google and then YouTube, because that's kind of how YouTube answered a lot. They're going now to ChatGPT and getting a whole breakdown of how to do things, with the specs, everything you can think of, the user manuals, the 20 videos that were created as tutorials. You can get anything and everything about a particular product or thing that you're wanting to research, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And ultimately, if your brand doesn't show up in these answers, you are invisible again, just like you were invisible back during the Google search engine era.
Yes. And in some cases, if your information is not updated, you also can be aged very poorly, like only showing 2 years experience versus 15, because it's pulling from data that is old and not updated online.
Yeah. So just to kind of give people an idea on how LLMs work, the LLM itself doesn't actually search live websites. Instead, it's a language model that is trained on massive data sets, just books, information over the years, and it is able to understand what you're saying based on speech recognition if you're talking to it or type it into it, I guess, language patterns. And then it's able to give you a response back based on these large structured data sets that it's been given.
That includes, I think, blog posts, product reviews, Wikipedia style explainers, transcripts, scripts, schema markups, and basically anything that gives the model context. So how does that work, Carlos?
Yeah, so it's actually really neat. I went down the rabbit hole over the last few weeks to look into it. So there is an additional layer to the LLM, meaning ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, that is called RAG, and that stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. What RAG does is it is the version or the component of the LLM that will go out and retrieve live data. So for example, let's say that you ask the LLM how the weather is. Well, the LLM understands what you're asking and it is able to put an answer together for you, like a well presented answer, like, hey, it's great today to wear a t shirt because it's 83 degrees out. But it still needs to know what the actual temperature is, right? It needs to know that it's 83 degrees out. And how does it do that? It does it with RAG ultimately. And that
Yeah.
goes for, that goes for a lot of things, right? Like if you ask your LLM, hey, I'm looking for red shoes. What are some of the best sites out there where I can buy red running shoes from and who's got the best reviews? So it's going to understand what you said based on the LLM model. And then it's going to use RAG to retrieve that data.
So if it's retrieving that data, is Gemini even more aggressive here? Is it deeply integrated into Google search and the knowledge graph? Because, if it's pulling top ranking pages, Wikipedia, government, institutional sites, academic pages, anything already trusted by Google's ecosystem, is that kind of what's, I think, bringing the data into, let's say, the AI itself?
Yeah. So I think what happens is, let's use Google as an example, because or Gemini, right? By the way, Gemini I think is the only LLM that actually uses Google. Apparently, a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's take a step back there because I think that's a very interesting point. What do the other, because if Gemini, if Google's only using Gemini, what are the other ones using that? Are they built? Are they combined? Like who's pulling from the same source and who's not? I guess you
Yeah,
could say.
I got you. So Google uses Gemini. Anthropic, they use actually I don't really know who Anthropic uses.
Well, that's Claude, basically. You're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
it's Claude. I think Claude actually doesn't do search. That one's done internally. It doesn't use a partner. Because for example, ChatGPT uses Bing, Meta's Llama uses Bing, XAI Grok that uses Bing and Twitter/X.
You don't know because it doesn't publicly specify.
They don't really get publicly into it, no. But
But I found by using Claude and asking them right now, it tells me Brave search. It's its search backend. So I think it says Brave search parameters.
yeah. So here's kind of what I'm finding out from all these sources that I'm reading is that if you ultimately want to rank for a particular topic or question or key phrase, you need to ask the LLM, hey, where are you getting these results from? And the LLM will tell you where it's coming from. So you
No
either then need,
kidding.
what's that?
I said I was about to say no, no, no kidding. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize to even ask that question.
Yeah, you can ask it, it'll tell you, and a lot of the times it'll grab data from Bing if you're using any one of the platforms I mentioned, and then it'll follow through to that link to grab the data, and that's when it becomes very useful or helpful. Number one is you still have to be SEO optimized because you want to be showing up on that top search result page, right?
Yeah.
And then number two is your page has to be well optimized as well. And that's where like schema data comes in really handy to have structure data on your actual page that's showing all this information so that the LLM can easily retrieve that and give it to the end user.
So on the enterprise side, do platforms like Amazon's Bedrock or Mistral, do they even rely on, let's say, an open web by default, or do they use private? I believe they use private knowledge bases, internal documents, vector database, and all that kind of stuff to get their data. How do we know? How I guess we don't know. Like in those instances, if you're trying to rank, let's say your Amazon shopping account and you want to, which you inside that whole network, you can do ads and things like that, just like you can Google. I guess you don't know. Like that's just something that's proprietary to them.
Yeah, I guess you just have to like kind of go deep into the rabbit hole and try to understand where it's getting those search results from, right?
That's interesting.
But yeah, it's not, the biggest challenge on the search engine world over the years has been the ability to crawl the web. And that's where Google's always dominated. And that's kind of where Bing comes in too. Everybody else just like sucks at it basically. They're not good at it. You need a lot of infrastructure to crawl the web.
Well, but
It
that's
just
kind of
let me
that's
tell you, like Bing, and it's funny too because Bing has been trying to catch up to Google for decades.
yeah,
And they still only have like, what is it, 10% they control? And that's only because of the Yahoo partnership where they control Yahoo search results too.
yeah.
But I think if you take that away, it's like a very small percentage. But now I feel like this is their opportunity to finally take on Google, kind of like through the
Isn't that the kicker?
yeah, like kind of like through the back scenes, like hey, we
Yeah.
finally got you. Because again, they've been trying to knock Google down for how many years?
Well,
And they
I think one of the things that kept it really just keeps Bing alive too is just it's owned by Microsoft. Google
yeah, they're able to feel it.
try to build their crappy member laptops and stuff. They don't even know if they still do that, but they try to get into the same
Yeah, you
opportunity.
don't you don't have you don't have kids in school anymore, but I mean, that's all kids in school use is Google Chromes.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they done. Yeah, dude, they're cheap and expensive. Everything's on the cloud. I'm sure
So
they're super easy to manage from a
so that
centralized
yeah,
standpoint.
that's interesting. So
Yeah,
there's still it's funny to see which I'm actually okay with, to be honest with you. I actually like the fact that Bing is used as getting some of the data because I think Google and the way that you have to optimize and the way that you have to change things in your content and everything like that, um, it's I think a little bit easier to figure out because Bing is what 10 years behind Google in some
well,
ways.
I don't know how behind it is. I
Yeah.
just always know that Google is where the attention has been for years, right? And everybody knows that, so it's just more competitive, right? I don't know if
Well,
I don't
I
know.
kind
I
of
don't think it's 10 years. I don't think it's 10 years behind.
well, what I mean is like
Like, is
the
it
way
easy to
that you
fool? Is
optimize
it
on
easy?
Bing, I think, and the algorithms on Bing are different than the algorithms on Google. So it's like, what do you do now? Do you go and try to
Yeah, but they're
optimize
not like
well from
they're not dramatically different at the end of the day. They
that?
really aren't.
I like that because I think that's the interesting and maybe a key point that if you start to kind of, because if you look at Google, Google's basically not sending traffic to sites anymore, right? So, and if you look at Bing, where you could gain some traffic in Bing at the same time improve your results for AOI, that might be an interesting way to rank higher and to do a completely different approach, because everyone's always thinking, I gotta rank for Google. I got to rank for Google. Well, not really with this kind of new data. It's kind of like I also need to really think about how I rank with Bing because that's how I'm going to come up with an AI.
Yeah. And I guess apparently Microsoft's been very smart about their API. They've kept it very open in terms of search results, right? The ability
Oh,
to use the API. Whereas Google's, even though Google has a very extensive API set, apparently like the search result part is very much locked down. So that's why
got
a lot of these companies, these LLM companies, they don't really have the ability to crawl the web at that extent like these search engines do. Because again, these search engines have been doing it for decades.
oh,
So
with
that's what's given Bing the competitive advantage in terms of like everybody wants to use their API now because they need to be able to access web results ultimately.
What's the simplest thing you can do to answer questions directly? No fluffy blog posts, no real answers, right at the top.
Yeah, just you can do like an FAQ on your website and just literally address these questions and answers right on the page itself. What is the difference between whey and plant-based protein? How long does a prenup take to finalize in Florida?
How
How
long does
often
it?
do I need to get an oil change?
Yeah. Okay. So FAQs are very important. Well, we've kind of, I think, know that from a schema standpoint, FAQs are great, but this is new. This is, it kind of brings to the top, I think, some of those, because you see FAQs, we used to put them at the bottom of the page,
Yeah.
the filler to get rankings, but it seemed like, they might be now even more important to bring up a little bit, a little bit up on the page there.
Yeah, it's that schema data. That's almost like your cheat code is the schema data, right?
Yeah.
Because it lets you portray your data in a structured way that it's easy for the LLM to actually read and extrapolate.
So schema is the way. This is the way.
A- And schema has been the way for yeah, schema has been the way for years from an SEO standpoint, but now it's even more important than ever with the LLMs in place.
So if someone doesn't even have schema in place, they're lost in the wilderness.
Yeah, yeah. Look, anytime you hire an agency to do SEO, part of that on-page optimization should be to introduce schema data on your pages. And
Yeah.
if you have WordPress, it's super easy to do.
Yeah. Well, that's because they have all in one SEO, Yoast, Rank Math. They also have Schema Pro. All of them have just very like you just install it and the schema just appears. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that really came about when Google started showing things like reviews on the search results.
Yeah.
Do you remember that era? What else did they show around those times? Those like enhanced search results. I forgot what they're called.
Those are called, when you answer the questions, is that what you're talking about?
No, like you can do a Google search and it'll actually show you the ratings right on the search result for the particular.
Oh, okay. That's literally just review ratings. But did you know like you had to like spend a ton of money back in the day, Bizarre Voice, Trustpilot. Like, you had to get this third party review system. But now if you actually just turn on, let's say WooCommerce reviews and you have reviews, it will come up in the page and show that star rating. It used to not do that.
Oh, because it's got the schema data set built right in.
Now, and they
I
allow
got
it.
you. I
A lot of
got you.
people don't realize that, and they still paying like Trustpilot, like God knows how much just to have that little rating because they got like 1,000 reviews, right? They're like, I can care less about getting one more review from Trustpilot.
Sure.
But so they literally could cancel Trustpilot, just turn on WooCommerce reviews, and they get the rating, and that's what a lot of people just want on search engines is that 5-star rating.
Yeah, this is so funny, man. Just when we thought SEO was dead, it's now stronger than ever again because of how
Yeah.
these LLMs retrieve data. It's wild. And look, like nothing new here to anybody that's done SEO in the past. Every brand should ideally have some type of library of expertise. I guess we used to refer to it as blogs. Now, I like to coin it as library of expertise. You know what I'm talking about, Jed?
Oh, okay. So comparison article, our product education, category explainers, step-by-step guides, and oh, my personal favorite, because me and you both use it a lot, case studies. Actually, case
Yeah,
study. I mean, if you're an agency, having case studies is probably the best thing you can do for SEO.
well,
I've
no
got
doubt.
3 clients in the last 6 months just from 2 case studies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously for SEO, but also for CRO more than anything.
Yes. Conversion rate optimization, if anybody doesn't know what that acronym means, because we're throwing more acronyms out there.
Yeah, just when we need more acronyms.
Yes. All right. So, when it comes to strengthening offsite authority, I think AI trusts also reputation the same way that people trust reviews, let's say on Google. If your brand name shows up in articles, directories, podcasts, interviews, reviews platforms, it gets baked into the model's memory.
Yeah, dude, it's like I'm telling you, this is wild. This is like SEO 101 all over again. It's on page and off page. It's basically you're building authority off other websites that link back to you.
So this is where it gets interesting because I don't, and we've been doing this podcast for a bit now, year and a half or so, or maybe 2 years, but doing a lot more lately. I don't know if you've actually looked, but I did, and I typed in, let's say, WooCommerce versus Shopify. I see my bald head and your face come up all the time now. like
Stop
all
it.
over.
No.
So it works. Repetition works. And, being a voice for your brand matters. Blog post is not what you should be doing only. I think you should be doing high level stuff, with your content. Just as we explained, doing a white paper step by step, like you figure out something that is needed and, you can do that. So don't just optimize pages or, optimize elements. I believe LLM pulls from data fragments, not like full web pages. So your review widgets, your compare charts, your FAQ sections, even your chatbots logs, those all could be sources if structured right.
Yeah, you nailed it. You want to use that real estate, that on-page real estate smartly, make it crawlable and make it machine legible. And that's where that schema data comes in.
Machine
That's why
le-
the machine legible.
Did you make that up?
Yeah,
I like
it's
it. Is the .com name taken? Machinelegible.com by Carlos.
there
I
you
like.
go.
Go buy that now before we air this. Machine Legible. That's a good one. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. So here's the play. If you're running an e-com site, a law firm, SaaS tool, whatever, just start thinking about your content like it's feeding an AI.
I think you have to ask yourself, if you're answering the question clearly, if you're formatting content in the way that LM understands, and are you being referenced by other trust sources, which goes back to, I think, the link building. When you think of SEO, same thing. You need to make sure that those, trusted sources are referencing back to you.
Yeah, and it's funny because we run into this with customers all the time whenever we try to build FAQs or knowledge base. And if you're not sure where to start, it's good to get a list of like the top questions your customers ask before buying. Like, you and I, for the most part, during a sales call, 90% of the questions are usually the same, right? And that's really the beginning for your AEO content strategy.
Yeah, I think this is the moment that AI interface is becoming the new search engine. And if you wait until everyone else is doing it, you'll be the one paying for visibility instead of earning it. And God knows that I wish I set up so many different things back in 2005 that went nuclear, out into the stratosphere just because they launched the site. I think the same thing goes here. You don't want to be you don't want to be stuck behind by not doing.
That's it for this one. If you missed last episodes on ChatGPT's out rollout, definitely go check that out.
And I stand corrected that SEO is not dead. It's evolved.
All right, Judd, we'll catch you on the next Bright Commerce podcast.
Okay.